Hello everyone, how's it going? Today we're going to talk about cortisol. We always hear talk about how we should be concerned if our cortisol levels are too high. But we can't live without cortisol. Well, what does it do for our bodies? And what's this cortisol face everybody's talking about? If that sounds interesting to you, then keep watching. So cortisol is a steroid hormone that your adrenal glands produce and release. Well, how can that help us? And what symptoms appear when we have too high or too low levels of cortisol? Well, first, let's talk about the good things that cortisol does for our body. Well, it regulates our body's stress response, helps to control the body's use of fats, proteins, and carbs, so basically our metabolism. It suppresses inflammation. It regulates blood pressure, blood sugar. It helps control our sleep-wake cycle. I'm sure you would agree that those are all very important things. Well, what are some symptoms if we have too high levels of cortisol? Well, it would be weight gain, especially in the face, fatty deposits between the shoulder blades, wide purple stretch marks on the belly, muscle weakness in the upper arms and thighs, high blood sugar, which unfortunately often turns to type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, excessive hair growth in females, weak bones, so we may have osteoporosis and experience even fractures. Now, symptoms of low levels of cortisol would be fatigue, unintentional weight loss, poor appetite, and low blood pressure. Now, it's always good to speak to your healthcare provider because some of these symptoms could actually be caused by other conditions. So what causes an imbalance in the cortisol in the body, whether it be too high or too low, and what can be done to balance this out? Well, we're going to talk about that shortly, but first I'd like to remind you to please like and subscribe if you're enjoying today's information. Also, I'd like to remind you to check out the links below. If you click on them, you can read more information on this topic. Also, you'll see some product suggestions there, and if you have something you'd like to share on this topic, feel free to leave that below in the comments. So, what can cause high levels of cortisol? Well, taking large amounts of corticosteroid medications, sometimes those are prescribed to treat other conditions, tumors that produce adrenocorticotropic hormone, adrenal gland tumors, or excessive growth of adrenal tissue. Now, when someone experiences high levels of cortisol for an extended period of time, it's usually considered Cushing's syndrome, which is actually a rare condition. Well, what can cause low levels? Well, there's something called primary adrenal insufficiency. It's known as Addison's disease. It's basically an autoimmune reaction, so your immune system attacks healthy cells in your adrenal glands. This also can happen because of infection or blood loss. And then there's a secondary adrenal insufficiency that can happen because of an underactive pituitary gland or a pituitary tumor. It can also happen if someone stops a treatment with corticosteroid medications, especially if they stop it too quickly after it's something they've been taking for quite some time. Now, if you have Cushing's syndrome or Addison's disease, you will need medical treatment in order to get your cortisol levels at a normal level. Now, for most of us, our cortisol levels will tend to fluctuate. It'll be normal for cortisol levels to peak in the morning and then they'll decline throughout the day. They'll especially be at their lowest usually around midnight. Now, if we experience a sudden danger, the cortisol will be released, and cortisol also triggers a release of glucose, sugar, so that gives us the energy we need to flee from a dangerous situation. It will also slow non-essential functions such as the immune system and the digestive system. Now, once the danger has passed, generally the hormones will return to typical levels. Now, sometimes, many times, in today's world, people actually experience chronic or ongoing stress, and cortisol is released during this type of stress as well. And this can actually put a person at risk for health problems such as anxiety, depression, digestive problems, headaches, muscle tension or pain, heart disease, heart attack, high blood pressure, stroke, sleep problems, weight gain, which makes sense because cortisol can increase our appetite, high blood sugar, which of course could lead to type 2 diabetes, and problems with memory and focus. So it's very important that we cope with stressors in a healthy way because there are things we could do that could actually increase our levels of cortisol. We would want to avoid tobacco, excessive amounts of alcohol, foods high in added sugar, soda, and caffeinated beverages. Now, research suggests that eating anti-inflammatory foods can calm the body and slow the production of cortisol. Some examples of this would be foods that are rich in magnesium, such as avocados, bananas, dark chocolate, broccoli, spinach. Foods high in omega-3 fatty acids, fish, chia seeds, flax seeds, walnuts. Also, gut-friendly foods can be very helpful, such as Greek yogurt, kombucha, and sauerkraut. Now, there are some other things that could help. Sometimes taking supplements can help in an indirect way because it may help to reduce our stress. Supplements that contain ashwagandha, rhodiola, lemon balm, and chamomile. I'll leave a link below if you want to check out one. Of course, you always want to check with your doctor before starting any supplements. Now, some everyday things we can do to lower our cortisol is to make sure we get quality sleep, that we're getting regular exercise. We can try to limit our stress, which is not easy for all of us. Some of us have developed some very stressful thinking patterns. Something that really helps a lot of people is just to get outdoors. Being outside makes them feel calm, feel at peace. You can practice deep breathing and basically just try to take time to enjoy yourself and laugh. Because when we laugh, it promotes the release of endorphins and it suppresses cortisol. We could take up a hobby. We could listen to music, which I often forget to do because I tend to just like quiet. But sometimes music can really affect our mood in a positive way. It can help relax us. We can watch our favorite shows. We can volunteer. We can journal. Sometimes people find it helpful to write down their thoughts so they can kind of become more in tune with their thinking. We can do our best to organize and focus on what needs to be done. So we try to prioritize all the important things and try not to stress too much about all the small things. Maintaining healthy relationships can really help with our cortisol levels. Now, if you've tried all of these things and you're still struggling, it might be beneficial for you to seek professional counseling. So what's this cortisol face everybody's been talking about? Well, it's not a medical term, but cortisol face has become a popular way. Social media is actually blaming puffiness in the face on high levels of cortisol. Now, having too much cortisol, it could cause a round-looking face, but experts say that many other things could also cause this, such as genetics, bone anatomy, weight, unhealthy diet, lack of sleep, not enough exercise. Now, in rare cases, chronic high cortisol can affect the appearance of the face. Stress can also send our cortisol levels up, but it's not going to be as high as someone that has a tumor or has Cushing syndrome. So you don't want to get too nervous about the appearance of your face just based on medical advice found on social media. According to experts, if a person has a serious medical issue, it's more than likely that they're going to have other symptoms besides the facial swelling, such as the ones we mentioned earlier in the video. But if you do have concerns, you definitely want to talk with your doctor. You want to find out if you do have a serious cortisol issue. Your doctor can order some tests for you. You could even try an at-home test. You could also go ahead and order and prepay for your lab tests. You can go to Ulta lab tests. You just go online, select the test that you want, and then you prepay for it. And then they'll let you know what lab you can go to locally to have the test done. But since you've already prepaid, many people are doing it this way because they save up to 90% on some of their lab tests. But it's definitely not good for us to have too much or too little cortisol. We actually want to have an optimal level of cortisol because cortisol in our bodies, it helps us to wake up in the morning. It gives us the energy we need during the day, and it should lower at night so that we can sleep. So if stress is affecting your cortisol levels, hopefully some of these suggestions will help you to reduce your stress and to really enjoy better health. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's information, and I hope to see you in the next video where we'll discuss another way we can improve our health.